What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? All right, today we're going to talk about Tyron, the water sylph. Okay, let me tell you something about Tyron before we begin. Okay, he is probably the best water 4-star you can pull. All right, he's an overpowered water 4-star. All right, and I'm going to explain why. Let's look at his skills first. All right, when he gets awakened, his skill gets strengthened. His first skill, power up spirit throw. We'll show how it's going to happen after. Increases the attack speed of ally monsters by 19%, which is good because this works everywhere. Attacks the enemy with a hailstorm and freezes them for 1 turn. Attacks all enemies with a cyclone 2 times. Each attack has a 40% chance of increasing the enemy's chance of landing a glancing hit for 2 turns, which is another nice skill. Throws a small spirit at the enemy with a 30% chance to attack consecutively. This attack increases your critical rate by 30% at next turn if you get a critical hit. Alright, so let's talk about the first skill first. He buffs his own crit, but before he gets awakened, he doesn't have this part over here with a 30% chance to attack consecutively. What it means is pretty much, it's not a violent proc. It doesn't count as an extra turn. It won't affect your cooldowns at all. But what it does do is he attacks consecutively. How else am I going to explain it? So the thing about him is, why is he so overpowered? You don't have too many natural 4-stars that start off with a leader ability, and then when you awaken them, they get some sort of a buff. So most of the sylphs have nice buffs. There's only 2 4-stars that are classified in this. It's the sylphs and the sylphids. Okay, they have all of their leader abilities and all of their skills unawakened, and then they get a buff to one of their skills. Now, usually with a natural 5-star, it's the same case, except instead of getting a buff to one of their skills, they get a buff to their stats on Nat 5. So I'd consider Tyron like a 4.75 Nat 5. All right. I honestly think, in my opinion, the best water 4-star you could possibly pull. All right. How to build him? Let's say you get lucky. You're one of the lucky ones, and you pull him like really, really early on in the game. You can build him Swift Focus. I still suggest doing a little bit of Giants and trying to find some Despair Runes for him. Now, this is if you want him to be a support attacker. Like, there's so many different builds for Tyron. This is why he's such a great monster. All right, you can make him an attacker. You can make him a support attacker. You can make him a fast support. You can make him a fast support attacker. You can make him all support. You can make him. It's like there's so many different builds. There's so many different opinions with Tyron that there is no correct choice. All right. One thing I am going to say about Tyron, he's not that great in dungeons. Dungeons meaning dragons, giants, the elemental dungeons. Now, listen to me before you say anything, all right? On the way there, he's great. Yes, he's going to freeze, he's going to stun, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. But when you get to the boss, he's really not that great. This skill does nothing. This skill is useless against the boss. You can't freeze him, you can't stun him, you can't do anything against the bosses. So, you really don't want a useless skilled monster at the boss. I don't suggest him for dungeons. If you really, really need him for your monsters to survive on the way to the boss, that's a whole different story. That's just a completely different story. But where is he great? Where does Tyron shine? Tyron shines in Trial of Ascension and the Arena. Okay? I'm sure all of you have seen my speed team with Tyron. Alright. Now, we talked about a beginning build. Alright. Now, there's different builds to put with Tyron. I think my build for my speed team is perfect for Tyron. Why? Because the order of Tyron, the order of my speed team is Bernard buffs speed and Tyron goes right after to freeze the enemy. So I have Despair Focus on him. Now, people say that he should have 100% accuracy to make sure he freezes. Honestly, guys, and I'm being serious, accuracy and resistance is all RNG in my opinion. Okay? So I try to have around 50, I think I have 55, 60. I might even just have 50% accuracy. We're going to look at my Tyron in a minute, all right? Now, my Tyron is built as a fast support attacker, but I have very nice runes on Tyron, which I will show the runes on Tyron, all right? Now, some people build him for Trial of Ascension hard, and they build him speed, hit point, Despair Focus, or speed, hit point, accuracy to max out his accuracy. For that purpose, he's actually not that bad. To have a high accuracy for the Trial of Ascension, that's where RNG takes a little less. In the arena, it's all RNG. In Trial of Ascension, it isn't. I really can't explain it, guys, but when you're not dealing in PvP is all RNG, and then when you're dealing with PvE, meaning dungeons and stuff like that, single player mode, accuracy is pretty important. All right, so people build him speed, hit point, which isn't a bad build if you really need him for Trial of Ascension, and you can still use him in the arena somewhat. Now, I've seen other people build him Violent Revenge, which it's not a bad idea, but it's not the greatest of ideas. There's less utility out of him. You don't use these skills as well. It maybe if you get substats for accuracy and stuff like that, fine. But that's they've built him attack, crit damage, attack, and it's like pure attacker. And you know what? It can be devastating. I've seen him hit for 17,000 on an armor broken monster over and over and over again, which is pretty much going to kill the monster. I don't care what monster it is, except most wind monsters that he's not going to crit on, and really, really super high defense monsters. The thing is, there is no right choice with Tyron. All the choices are right. It depends on what you want to use him for. This is why I love Tyron. Okay, I built him strictly for my speed team. I've thought about building a second one for Trial of Ascension hard mode, just so that it's easier for me to get away with a few things in that. Speed, hit point, because mine, technically, he works, but on the later boards, he just falls off. But in normal, 1 to 100, he's doing his work. All right? So, as I'm saying, there is no right way to build him. Usually, the way I suggest for people to build him is speed, crit damage, attack. If you want to build him for arena, speed, crit damage, attack, Despair Focus. Reason being is this skill right here, why I put Despair Runes on him, this skill right here, if it doesn't freeze, there's a chance he's going to stun them. So it's a little bit of a backup thing. Then you add a stun to this, and then you add a stun to this, which can help you out so much. And this has a multiple chance of stunning as well. So this one, the stun only works on the first turn. So that's pretty much my build. I see other people speed, hit point, as I've said, speed, hit point, accuracy. They use him more for Trial of Ascension purposes, and they don't use him in the arena. But we're talking about OP players now. Is he a fodder farmer? Yeah, he can be a fodder farmer. But for him to do Faimon 1 Hell, he needs extraordinary runes. He needs a lot of speed. He needs a lot of things. Okay? So I'm going to show you my runes on my Tyron. Okay, these are his overall stats. 50% crit rate, 55% accuracy, 147% crit damage. I get people asking me all the time. I hope they watch this video to see my runes on Tyron. He's got about 17,500 hit points, 1,430 attack. This is another thing about Tyron. He has the stats of a Nat 5 almost. He has decent attack. he's tanky. He's pretty tanky for a monster that's an attack monster. Over 10,000 hit points is pretty tanky. He has a decent attack. I'm not going to say it's an amazing attack, but if he had more attack, that first skill would just be devastating. All right. So let's take a look. So the cooldowns on this skill, when it's maxed out, is 4 turns, and the cooldowns on this skill is 5 turns. The cooldowns are kind of long, but the skills are pretty OP in some ways. And here are my runes. Now, I haven't been able to farm 5-on-1 hell with my Tyron until I pulled this rune right here. It's got attack on it, it's got hit points on it, it's got crit damage on it, and it's got that speed substat plus 24. Right? If you see, my overall speed is 190 on Tyron. So this rune actually helped me out a lot. I'm going to show him fodder farming as well. So I got this rune over here too, speed, 6-star speed rune. The crit rate is the reason why I put it on, and accuracy. It's got crit rate and accuracy. I have this despair rune on him. I didn't look for a speed substat because I wanted the accuracy substat, that 22% accuracy substat. I really wanted that on Tyron, just so that I don't have to look for other accuracy runes. This rune is mainly on him, yes, for the crit damage, but it's also on him because of the speed substat, speed plus 15. So that's one of the big things with that rune. Then I have this rune on him. It's mainly on him because of the crit rate substat, nothing else. And it's got the accuracy as well, but the crit rate substat is big on him. Now, the main reason why I have this rune on him is because it's got this 22% hit point substat. I tell people to put attack on slot 6. He hits harder, but only for a speed team. If you don't, like, my Tyron is pretty tanky for the runes that he has. All the substats and everything. As I said, I put some of my best despair runes on Tyron. Okay? So, let's show him as a fodder farmer. We're going to do all three boards. So we're going to do Hideni 5 first. He doesn't need the best of runes to do Hideni 5. Okay, let's take 3 fodder, so this isn't a complete waste of my time. Alright, so they're all going to be attacking Tyron too, so it doesn't really matter. It's even better to show, since he's going to take the blunt of the abuse. So look, he's going to do this pretty much perfectly fine. He annihilated 2 monsters. So Hideni 5 is pretty much a breeze for him. Now this is a little bit on the unfair side because I'm telling you, my Tyron has my best despair sets, my best despair runes on him. So he's not gonna, yours if you just 6-starred him and you're not farming runes yet, yours isn't going to do exactly what mine is doing. And what's great is he buffs his own crit rate too. I love that about him. That's why I always suggest crit damage in slot 4 for him, because he gives himself a 30% crit bonus when he gets a crit, which is huge. So now we're at Hideni 5. Tamor 3, I'm sorry. Another build for Tyron I forgot to talk about is Swift Focus. You can do Swift Focus if you want him really, really fast. I don't suggest it though because of all the Chloes running around, and usually Chloes are faster than Tyron. But it's very possible to do it. So I really don't suggest Swift Focus though. All right, I would rather do Despair Focus just to add that stun to his abilities. It helps out a lot, especially fodder farming. The stun helps out quite a bit. So it depends on how you want to build him. If you want to build him as your main attacker, I wouldn't do Fatal Focus on him, I'll be honest with you. He's not really big on being your main attacker. Violent would be better as an attacker. If you can get him if you could get him a good Violent set, yeah, he would be better as an attacker with a Violent set. Violent Blade, Violent Revenge. All right, so you're gonna see on Faimon, it's not gonna go as quick. I remember sometimes he would win Faimon, and like 6 out of 10 times he beat Faimon, and then 4 out of 10 he did it. Now, since I've gotten that rune and I improved his speed, he pretty much goes twice before a lot of the monsters do. Sometimes, not all the time. It depends on the attack order, how far we've gone. You see, he went twice just now. So after the first turn, he goes twice. It also depends on how he wastes his cooldowns as well. See, it's just the speed of my Tyron that did it, too, though. He didn't violent proc. He's not on violent runes. I showed him on despair. But it is really, really... Wow, congrats to you, buddy, for the Beast Monk. It is really, really hard to farm Faimon 1 with Tyron. I mean, look, he's a little... Mine's hitting really hard. So my God's honest suggestion is just do Despair Focus. If you want to use him in the arena, Despair Focus, speed, crit damage, attack. If you want to use him in TOA, speed, crit damage, hit point, you can do for TOA hard, speed, hit point, or you could do speed, crit damage, hit point, whichever one you prefer. He can be a really tanky monster, and he can hurt a lot. So, alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll talk to everybody later.